Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How are you today? You're at your favorite spot, your place, where the conversations are pointed and the guests are sharp. The responses are never dull. Today we're going to Canada. We're going to visit with Saireen Neilsen. Saireen has a powerful story of transformation, healing, and self-love. How many of us women struggle with the menopause? I don't call it a pause. It's like somebody ran full throttle. Well, I had some symptoms and signs at an early age because I had some surgery done, but it leveled off. But there are some key things that I incorporated in my life to make it a little easier. And Saireen is dedicating her life. She's got a podcast, a great show that focuses on helping women get through this. Also know there's a thing called a menopause. Okay. There is testosterone that is lost. There is estrogen that is increased. They get the man boobs. Men can have breast cancer. There's a lot of things that's going on. So we're going to talk about that, her experience, and how she is helping others get through this, again, this metamorphosis, this thing called life. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Saireen?
I'm doing well. Thank you, April. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Well, you've got an incredible show too. Let's dial back a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your story, your journey, and your truth.
Well, April, I spent 10 years dealing with severe menopausal symptoms. I had hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, brain fog, menopausal weight gain, you name it. My hair was falling out. I couldn't even recognize myself in the mirror. I was such a social butterfly. I was always outgoing and bubbly and loved going out, having fun with my girlfriends. And I was my husband's assistant while we were traveling. And all of a sudden, in my 40s, things started to show up and I didn't know what it was. No one talked about perimenopause. I didn't even know that was a thing. And, I wish more people talked about it. I heard about menopause, and menopause was supposed to be when you finish your period for a year, and that was it. But I was still having my cycle. And so all of a sudden, I'm experiencing all these things, and I'm feeling like my body is out of control. And I used to exercise like 3 to 5 times a week. It wasn't like something that I stopped all of a sudden. I was quite active. But I knew something was changing and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I started.
Do you have any other, without going into too much of your medical history, but did you have anything like fibroids or excessively heavy periods? Did you have a history of uteral problems, from your mother or anything like that? Was that any of that part of your history?
April, I did. I had fibroids that were growing so big that I didn't even know what was happening. And I was bleeding a lot. And I'm thinking, is this normal? This isn't normal. What's happening to me? And so then I started researching, and it was really funny because I have to say it's funny because I felt like I was going to the doctors every week for something different.
I know.
Right? It's just that they deal with one thing at a time. And our list was expanding massively. And I'm like, this doesn't feel right. My hair is falling out. I'm feeling all these pins and needles. I feel this numbness. I feel like I was on top of, I remember I was on top of the a hair salon in Toronto, and I'm just hanging on to the side of the rail and I'm waiting for my Uber to come. Next thing you know, my knees are rocking. And I am thinking, what is going on here? I was so scared to walk down those stairs because I felt out of control of my limbs.
Well, I'm going to tell you more story. In all disclosure, I really wouldn't tell the world this, but I'm going to tell you because I want you to be aware. African American women or women of color seem to be a little bit more prone to fibroids.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe it's that rich, thick blood. I don't know what it is. But I was at a point in my life where I was having bad cramps. I mean, cramps so bad that I just have to lay up against the wall and just let the coolness release my body. And I was afraid. I was afraid because they said, oh, you've got fibroids. We've got to do surgery, this, that, and the other. Well, I had already had a baby. And I said, you know what? All this baby making stuff for me is overrated. I don't need to do this 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, I got one. She's fine. Everybody's happy. So anyway, the doctor says, okay, you may need to have the fibroids removed. This was the defining point for me. The blood gathers so much. I was on my way to an event, dressed to the nine, had my pantyhose on, everything. I get out of the car and a gush.
Oh no.
How humiliating. The gods were good to me. There was no trace of it on my clothes or anything like that. But I had to go in and tell the person to clean this mess up. The shame associated with that, but also the lack of self-care that I gave myself, that I was afraid of the unknown. And I'm saying this is a minimally invasive surgery. Now, again, this is not for everyone. This was for me. This was minimally invasive, the best technology, the best hospital, the best recovery. All of this stuff was at my disposal. But what held me back was the naysayers. Don't do this, and you can do this holistically, and you can do. I tried all of that, and it didn't work for me. So, I mean, what do you say to the woman that's struggling with making a decision on, do I have a surgery? Do I have this looked at further, or do I just try an alternative route?
April, I asked a lot of questions. I talked to a lot of people. I did my research.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, the first thing that came to my mind is, let's have surgery. Let's get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had to take some steps backwards and said to myself, what does my body need? I need to listen to it. So I went through the proper channels. I went through the ultrasound. I went and get all these tests done. And I had cramping like you, and I had long periods. And all of a sudden, I had to make a choice. I finally found a doctor who would actually do the surgery for me. Before that, I was actually searching, and no one would want to do the hysterectomy on me, or take out the fibroids.
Right.
And finally, when I heard somebody say yes, then I'm thinking, oh, what do I need right now at this moment? And how much pain and suffering do I want to go through?
Right.
I had to ask myself, because getting up in the morning and dealing with the cramping while you're doing your everyday chores or, doing things for other people, I had to stop and think about what was best for me.
Absolutely.
And I was scared. I was so scared. I was damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. And I thought to myself, okay, what's the information here? Who said it? Some of my friends said it was the best thing for them, but certain people said no, it wasn't good for them.
Right.
And then I came to a conclusion that I wasn't going to do it. I was going to do more of a holistic way. And at that point, I was searching for natural ways to deal with it. And what happened, and I find that I was at a point in my life that I think I was closer to, in my menopausal journey, that the fibroids shrank after I started menopause.
Wow.
It was just so close. It was like, oh my God, it was months in between. It was like I had to make up my mind probably in October, November, and then my period stopped and the fibroids went away in January. It was a miracle.
And a couple other things I want to throw in there. Again, a medical disclaimer. We are not physicians. No. We are giving you this information based on what we have experienced, other people that we have talked to. If you are currently under the care of a physician, continue that course of treatment. This is options, and this is information for you to research to make the best decision for you. So I want to, definitely put that in there. But a couple of
Absolutely.
things that I like for you to check, Brains, is your thyroid.
Yes.
That thyroid is, I didn't realize how much power that thing had. Thyroids also, losing and the loss of blood can make you anemic,
Yes.
make you cold, make you fainty. Um, so those are the kind of things that you want to check as well. Your period, look at it. Is it irregular? Is it darker? Is it clumpy? You know, are you cramping? Are you counting your cycle every 28 days?
Mhm.
Do you know how to even do that? I talked to some young girls, they were 14 or 15 years old, and I asked them that they were hanging out with me for the summer, and I asked them, were they, had they had their menstrual period? And they looked at me with shock. I said, it's not a dirty word. I said, this is something that I need to know in case I need to get you some assistance or whatever. I need to keep a closer eye on you and the little fellas that's running around here. What is going on? And I said, do you know how to count your cycle? They don't teach the young girls how to count their cycle and know every 28 days or 21 days what that means and how important that is to you as a woman.
I
Uh,
agree with you,
and
April.
and
It's
they
so
make it
important.
right. They make it it's like a shame, and it's not a shame. I have a girlfriend that told me that her mother never even had that conversation with her. She just sat her in front of a video screen. This is the most perfect thing that God has ever designed, was the woman and the uterus. And we are going to go through ebbs and flows. And it is very difficult because this also impacts relationships. Because you don't want to be intimate with someone, you just don't have it, or you're afraid, or it hurts. How does that impact, if you don't mind me asking, the relationship with you and your husband with regards to that?
In the beginning, my husband wanted to support me and he didn't know how. I'm very fortunate. My husband is loving, caring. He's right there. And we have a special relationship where we get to a point where once we bring each other awareness of what each other is going through, it's given. It's without words. He's been like in the beginning, I thought I got this, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to burden him of what I'm going through and the body changes. I can handle this. I'm going to handle the fibroids. I'm going to handle all the changes that are occurring, the losing the hair, the weight gain, and being tired. And then all of a sudden, I'm realizing, and the brain fog. And then I realized he needs to get on board with me on my journey. It's
Right.
so important that we need to start talking about this. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then next thing I said to him is that these are the things that I'm finding. My body's changing. I'm going through menopause. These are the things I'm experiencing. So when I have a hot flash, April, he knows to bring me a cold cloth. He knows to give me cold water. He just knows. And I don't have to say anything. All I have to say is, oh my gosh, I think I'm experiencing hot flashes, or like I can't think properly. And he knows what to do. And and sometimes he just holds my hand. Sometimes he just smiles. Sometimes he just gives me a hug, not trying to fix things, And what I found during menopause in the beginning is like the testosterone in my body is like, I
Mhm.
go from 0 to 100. And the poor guy, like, I don't mean to be picking a fight, but he's like, how can I support you?
Right.
And so that's where it came from. And then it's always a kind smile, like a kind action. It's a smile, it's a hug. He's not trying to fix anything. It's like, how can I support you? And so I brought him awareness. So we both know that I may be experiencing 40 things. Thank God, not all at the same time.
Right. Right.
I said, I may be experiencing 40 things, but not all at the same time. But he's there. He's got the tools. He knows now, because of the awareness, what he can do to help me and support me.
And it's a thing also too, like I said, he can support you, but there's also a balance that even though we're going through this, that we need to do a deeper dive. We need to maybe go into meditation. We may need to get some hormone replacement therapy. We may need to get a support group. We may need to tune into great shows like Serene's to know that there are other people that are here to support us and struggling through this. There's so much going on in the world, there's so much advanced technology, but also the intimacy
Exactly.
between the husband and the wife. There is no denying it because when you having a hot flash, I don't want you to look at me, much less touch me. The hot flash goes from the tip of your scalp all the way down to your toes, and it doesn't stop until it's finished. And I wasn't getting them bad at first, but then they started to get where I would be talking to someone and I'd break out in a sweat. And you'd be wondering what in the world is going on. And it is a physical change, but it's a mental change. Some of the things that I found that helped me was the first thing was to look at my diet. Diet was everything. I started charting what is it that I'm eating? How long is it in between that and the time I experience this? And then how long does it take me to recover? Is this the same thing? And I found that there were certain things that would make my breasts overly tender, that would give me cramps, that would bring on a hot flash. You know one of the things that brought on really a hot flash for me? You know, you go to a fast food restaurant and you have one of those lemonade dispensers.
Mm-hmm.
I would get one of those lemonades, 16-ounce, whatever, and I would drink it within 30 minutes. I don't know what was in it. It would be awful. And I was like, what is this? Then I noticed caffeine. Then I noticed sugar. Then I noticed beef. Now, this is not for everybody, but if you keep a log in a food journal, at least it will give you a point of reference. Would you agree?
I agree with you, April. It makes such a huge difference when you bring awareness to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and the journey and logging everything. And I went one step further and I wrote down my thoughts and what triggered me. So I was investigating, like, okay, well, I'm not eating anything right now. So what's causing me to go have this hot flash? And it could be several triggers, something that's stressful, something that you're not happy with, something it's like, oh my goodness, I have to deal with it, like the stress of the traffic. Or even when you're watching a movie and it's thriller, suspenseful, it's just elevates your cortisol levels. It elevates your adrenal glands. You want to make sure that you're on top of everything because menopause and your progesterone and your estrogen levels affect everything from head to toe.
And there's no timeline. I mean, if you've had to have surgery at an earlier age, you may go through this sooner and end sooner. Sometimes, I'm 62 and I get a hot flash every now and then, and I'm like, where'd you come from? I'm on the other side of it, but know that it is possible to get on the other side of it. You have a phenomenal podcast, Menopausitivity. Am I saying that correctly?
That's right. Loving Menopausitivity.
And you have great guests. Tell us a little bit about your show, where you find these great guests, and what is the focus?
I have amazing guest speakers that come on board because I want everyone to know that their menopausal journey is so unique. Everyone's going to experience some parts of, actually, let me just rephrase that. Everyone's going to go through menopause, but it just depends on how. And so what you and I might eat might be different from someone from Europe and the Mediterranean diet. So it just varies. And so it's important that we listen to one another and support one another. And that's why community is so huge. And what we thought might help one of us, it's important to be part of a group so you know that, oh, wow, that technique, that breathing technique helped me when I was stuck, in a stressful situation, when I'm busy, or I'm at work and I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have this freaking deadline? And now I'm like, I have to breathe through it. I don't want to be sweating in front of my coworkers or my peers, and you're trying to give yourself some peace and ease and grace throughout the day. Because
that's amazing. What do you say to the woman that is struggling right now. I mean, she's in the thralls of it, but in denial. Oh no, it can't be. Because there's no particular age, there's an age range, but you can go through menopause earlier or much later in life.
Absolutely. These women need to ask themselves certain questions. And I have a special speaker that's coming up. She's talking about which tests to ask your doctors. So you want
Mm.
to be prepared before you go see your doctor, because in Canada, we have like 10, 15 minutes per appointment and you're done. So you need to go in and ask the right questions. It's like, what kind of test do I need right now as a menopausal woman? Someone who's going through some body changes. And then it's like, okay, after that, like, what do I need to do next? What are my options? Can I be on hormone replacement therapy? Am I a candidate? Because some people aren't, even though they want to be on it. And there's other people who are like, I want more of a natural approach. I don't know what the side effects are. And that's the other thing. I believe that people don't ask enough questions about side effects of
Right.
doing anything like taking the medication, taking hormone replacement therapy. It's important to know what your body's going through. And then you have to listen. Stop and listen to what your body is saying to you. Where do you need help? Where do you need the attention? And don't be afraid to talk about it, because that's what's huge nowadays. We've been hiding ladies for too long. We haven't been seen, heard, or understood. The only time we've been seen is when we're like, oh, she's on your period. Oh, she's going through a mood swing.
Right.
No, ladies, are, we have power. We have our light and we're ready to shine. And it doesn't matter if you're perimenopausal or menopausal or what's next. We just need to learn how to prepare for and manage our symptoms so we can live a vibrant life.
And don't be fooled. You can still get pregnant. Girl, my girlfriend got pregnant at 52.
Oh, wow. Did she?
Yeah, yeah. Lord have mercy. She said, I don't know what to do. I said, love your way through it. It's a gift. But you can still get pregnant. So you want to tell your physician, I'm still sexually active. What precautions could I take? What is my risk? Are these eggs still fertile? Because it is very, very possible that during this menopausal stage that you can still get pregnant. And oh my God, boy, were we both shocked. And she couldn't drink, so I drank for her. But
Well, and
it was a wonderful experience to see her go through that and what she learned. Being 52 and having a baby was no joke.
no,
No joke.
no. But answering one of your questions earlier with, having that open relationship with my husband, communication, it was important to let him know how I felt and what felt good. So we were reacting and learning about each other again.
Absolutely.
And that's how,
Absolutely. Because intimacy does not necessarily mean penetration.
yeah.
And so you have to have that adult conversation with the person that you're with, and they will respect that. But men go through the menopause and they have brain fog, they have a reduction in sexual desire, they have sometimes ejaculation, or they have erectile dysfunction. So don't just assume that, oh, okay, well, he's not interested in me or he's fooling around. Have that conversation with your man as well to see if there's something that's going on that he's aware of. Because men don't communicate like women. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get on podcasts. We're gonna do interviews, all this kind of stuff. But men, there's a certain um, shame associated with it that they can't talk about that it's embarrassing. And so the last thing they want to do is be emasculated with their partner. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. And it's so important. Like if we're going through changes, they're going through changes too. And if our body's changing, they are changing too. They're not the same people or same person as you married, who is active and helping around the house and who's taking out the garbage. Something may be shifting for them.
Right.
And and instead of going, why aren't you doing this? Or like, Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Stop nagging. What the beautiful thing is about open communication. It's time to actually support one another, because if you don't support each other now, you're going to grow apart. Men will be looking for someone who's not going through the mood swings and everything else. And that's why some guys go for, quote, quote, go through middle age crisis and go for someone
Right.
20 something. And they think at that point that they don't have to deal with the mood swings, the PMSing, the, changes of hormones. If you can, ladies, talk about it now and just love each other because it's part of the aging process, is something beautiful. My husband and I have been together for 38 years and we're just loving on each other. We love each other more now than we have on day one.
I've been married 40 years, and that's we could have a whole podcast on that within itself.
Exactly.
But again, it is that communication, it's that understanding, it's that compassion, it's being flexible,
Exactly.
being willing to adapt. It's not easy, and you are going to go through ebbs and flows. Can you imagine being with someone 40 years or
Yeah.
38 years and never having any challenges, never having any discourse, never having any change in your mind, not being distracted, not wondering if you're still desirable? Because you look at yourself. I mean, we see the swelling in our face, and our breast has drooped, and our belly is expanded, and our skin is not as vibrant as it was. We look at ourselves, but we are really kind of sometimes our worst worst critics, because the person that's next to you is looking at your heart, your compassion. They're grateful for you. And so, what we want to do is we want to find that inner gratitude and allow that to radiate. Again, there's great shows like Saireen's. We have tons of medical experts here, everything from Reiki to quantum to hypnotherapy to psychotherapy to traditional holistic medicines, integrated medicines. There's a lot of options and choices out there. Do your due diligence. Be kind to yourself. Let's ask you some fun questions, Saireen.
All right, let's
You
go.
told me that you just came back from a trip from South America. What was one of the things that you learned? Something that you didn't know before. What did you learn?
I have a funny story for you, April. My girlfriend and I and my husband and her boyfriend were out for dinner, and it was a beautiful seafood place. And then I went to the ladies' room, and I love my nails. And actually, my nails were a little pointier then. And I was trying to flush the toilet, and it was one of those things that you stick your hand in and you push down. Well, I didn't want to get my fingernail caught, so I pushed my knuckle in. Guess what? My knuckle got stuck in the lid. And that I didn't know. What I learned after carrying around the piece of the toilet
Oh my goodness.
thing, I had to get my finger out of the lid. My husband came in and tried to help here, but I still had the piece left on there. Then we ended up going to the hospital. And after being in the hospital for 2 hours, we didn't know if I was still going to have a knuckle left.
Wow.
They froze it. And the next thing you know, the doctor came in with big, huge wrenches and he cut it. And oh my gosh, I'm back to having a normal finger.
Wow.
That was incredible. What I learned is when you go to the bathroom, ladies, make sure you have a pen or something sharp that you can poke in and not have your fingernails stuck or your knuckles.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
what I'm sharing.
I was
It's
thinking about that too, because when I travel, I'm fascinated by international toilets. And I'm in China. And I go,
oh,
yeah, and I'm in China, and it was very interesting. I had never squatted over a hole.
oh yes.
I was like, what is this? So I go from there and I go back to the hotel, first day of checking in the hotel, and then I've got this luxury bidet. So
Oh,
from one extreme to another, because I was concerned, I was like, I hope all public restrooms aren't like that. So when you go to the bathroom, just internationally, just be open minded to what could happen. Always take a little purse with you to have those extra tools. That's an interesting story.
exactly.
Um, if you could time travel, oh my goodness,
There we go. In the
You.
hospital.
Wow. And that's a big thing too.
It was very painful.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that it's okay and it didn't damage or break your finger.
I'm feeling very grateful.
Wow. Um, if you could time travel, go back to the past, stay here in the present, project to the future, where would you land
Right now.
right now?
Right now, because I'm going through a wonderful stage of learning and growing and being the best version of myself. Everything that I've done and learned and research has brought me to here to help other women. And I love what I do. I love helping perimenopausal and menopausal women prepare for and manage their symptoms in a graceful way without hormone replacement therapy. I am so proud of being part of a movement that we are talking about it. We're being seen and heard and understood, and we get to redesign what menopause looks for us. So I feel so privileged to be
Because there's
here
been
now.
such a stigma,
Yeah.
or ugliness about it. Oh, she's on her period, or she's on the rag, and that's not it. Or she's having a hot flash, But it is a part of life.
Yes.
It is a part of life, and if you get to that point that you are able to go and get on the other side, know that it is grace, and that you need to reach back and help another woman. So I thank you for that sincerely. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be?
That's a very good question, April. I'm a juicer.
You're a juicer.
I'm a
Okay.
juicer. So I love extracting pulp, what's just good for me. And I love nutrients. So I'm like, okay, give me all the carrots, give me everything that you have so I can just feel like I'm feeding my cells somehow. So if I'm a juicer and everything comes into a glass, I know I'm giving someone some loving nutrients.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm the air fryer because I like to keep it fresh and juicy. I don't like it too greasy. I like to be new and innovative and easy to clean. How about that?
Sounds good.
If you could have a conversation with a 25-year-old Saireen Neilsen, what would you say to her?
Have fun, be playful, be adventurous, and keep that going for you. Stay in awe and wonder and count your blessings. Every single day that you wake up, you get to be you. Every single day, you get to be a better version of you. And you get to change and impact lives every single day, whether it's with a smile, whether it's tipping someone at a restaurant, whether it's a hug, whether it's just giving them something creative to do. And I get to do that. And I feel very blessed. And I'm so full of gratitude of everyone around me and how I can change people's lives. And they touch my life as well.
Well, that's a beautiful sentiment because there's a lot in the world that needs to be changed, but there's also a lot to be appreciative about. A lot of people are not, they're taking things for granted. Again, you were just in a country that maybe does not have all of the advances that we have in medicine, but they have traditional ways of doing things. They have love and they have compassion, and they have a sisterhood that from generations to generations, they have taught women how to go through this and how to survive. I mean, there's third world countries where they don't even have proper sanitation, so don't take things like this for granted. Use all of your resources and all of your options. Um, you also have great programs. You do summits. Tell us a little bit about those programs.
I'm so excited about the summits because I get to have amazing speakers come on board and share their unique gifts. So, how I created it was what would I love to see as a menopausal woman? What would benefit me? And so, of course, I had techniques that were great for breathing, meditation, Reiki, energy work. Also, I have a speaker who talks about what which tests would be good during menopause, because of the fact that you need a measuring point. You need to start somewhere and then go, okay, here I am. And how can I get better? How can I change? So I'm like, oh, I feel more alive, more myself again. And I have all the different speakers coming from self-sabotaging. How do you stop that? How do you stop the stories in your mind? Because we sometimes are our worst enemy. It's not someone who's telling us. This is something that we, for some reason, have ingrained in our life, somewhere where we were pre-programmed previously, and we have no agreement with that, because we get to design our menopausal journey and we get to feel alive, and we get to say, hey, we're not old. We're just starting something fabulous. And I feel amazing. And I'm not going to be a secret anymore. I'm going to tell people that I'm turning 60 this year, and it's going to be the best version of myself showing up. And I'm not afraid. Am I afraid to be like, oh, I lost myself when I was 30, 40 years old? Ladies, you know what? We keep evolving into something better and better and better. What we did when we were 30, 40 years old worked at that time. And now when we're going through our 50s and 60s and 70s, we get to create a beautiful menopausal journey and beyond. So get your hats on, get on a roller coaster, because you're going to have fun, more adventure, more, what can I say? You get to create it.
Society has deemed us old after 40.
Yeah,
I'm 62 and I'm telling you, I'm living my best life.
exactly.
I am living my best life because I don't have to worry about a period anymore. Sorry, ladies. I am,
You're getting pregnant,
or getting pregnant,
right?
but feeling good about myself, understanding who I am unapologetically, being more empathetic, showing up. And it's not about just showing up, but it's how you respond to situations. My level of care. And what I mean by that is there's some situations I don't even care about anymore. Being angry or being overly aggressive. My patience has risen like a cake in the oven. People and the world is very different now. And you'll go somewhere and someone will be hostile, or they'll take the parking space. And I say, okay, no problem. You win. You can have that, because I have time on my side. And as you mature and get older, you establish grace and class and wisdom. That's not something that you get at 20. You can't buy that off the shelf. You have to go through these experiences. You have to be knocked down, because the things that hurt us in life are truly our best teachers. If Saireen and I had not been through that, we would not be here to tell the tale and have the testimony to help the next person through this. So, the things, like I said, that challenge us the most are truly our best teachers. And you are a great teacher. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you, how to follow you. I've been sharing your post on social media, and I want to share your show. And when you have an upcoming summit, we want to share that with our followers as well.
Thanks, April, for your support. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and I will drop the link underneath. And also for the upcoming summit, we'll drop a link for that as well. I can't wait to share more information and more details out there. And you know what, ladies, you got to laugh. I know in the beginning, when you're struggling and you're feeling like you're alone, just know that you're not, and that you will look back at this and go, that's just what happened. And like, trust me, when my finger got stuck in that little slot, I was devastated. I was crying, but I knew that I would find a way to feel better. And here I am.
Look at you. I'm glad I asked that question, because that was one harrowing story. That could have ruined the whole cotton picking trip.
It could have, but you know what? It's like it's how you look at things. I could have spiraled down, but instead we laughed and laughed and laughed, because it was how it happened to me.
Right. And took a picture of it and was able to share here on the edge. Thank you so much, Saireen. You are just the best. Brains, I really encourage you. If it's not you, you may have a sister, you may have an aunt, you may have a girlfriend, you may have a wife that is going through some serious emotional and physical challenges. Be there to support them. The best way you can support them is with education and compassion. Tune in to Saireen Neilsen's LM show. I'm going to drop all the links and go back and listen to other edgy conversations. Now, you know we've moved. We are now on Spreaker, which is an Apple product. So we are on Podbean and Apple and Spotify. We're on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram. We're all over the planet. Just Google us. Look at those hearts. Those are just for you. Thank you, Saireen, and we will talk again really soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Brains. Have a good day.
Bye, Brains.